You don't necessarily need to have a business partner, or we just might not have the right ones. We need to really make sure we're focusing more on getting the right people working with us. Work smarter, not harder. I mean, we catch ourselves all the time. They call it the 80-20 rule. I call it the 90-10 rule, where we spend 90% of our time on things that make us probably 10% of our money, where we just need to be more successful in that. But over the way we really have to prioritize it is, it's amazing how meetings just make all the difference in the world. And I'm not talking hour long, we're talking 15-minute daily, bi-weekly, weekly, twice a week meetings where we're sitting down, we're digging in with the people, and we're making sure that whatever the agenda was last week or the day before, it has been getting accomplished.
This is Biz Ninja Entrepreneur Radio with your host, Tyler Jorgenson.
Welcome out to Biz Ninja Entrepreneur Radio. I'm your host, Tyler Jorgenson. And today we get to talk with Kyle Hollenbeck, who is founder of some of the most amazing brands out in Arizona, doing some really cool things. We're not only in Arizona, but selling nationwide. You've got a lot going on, Kyle. You've got AZ Lemonade Stand. You've got BLT Kitchens. You got Oak Wood Fire Pizza and Catering. You got Aioli Burger. Holy cow, you got a lot of other things going on too. I know that the restaurant industry is tough, and you're like, that's fine. I'll just do a dozen of them. It'll make it easier. But welcome out to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So when you run into someone that maybe you knew from high school or from college, and they're like, what do you do? How do you answer that question?
It's funny. I always go back to what we started with. I go, well, we do food trucks. I always say that first, and we've grown so much more than that now. But that's where I always kind of start with is food trucks. But people throw around words like restaurateurs and stuff. But we've adapted so much over the years, and we're doing so many different things that it's hard to pinpoint. We're in the commercial real estate business, I guess, too, because we own these buildings. But we're just a couple of kids that grew up together that started with a food truck about a decade ago, and we kind of went from there.
Okay, so that's really cool. Before we go into some other stuff, break down that story. You guys, you have a co-founder. You guys have been friends since childhood. Talk through how that is.
Yeah, it's funny enough. My business partner, Chef Tom, he's a Food Network Chop champion. He worked at the Greenbrier in West Virginia. Every president's ever stayed there. He's a CIA Culinary Institute of America grad, hotel restaurant management degree, but he's still just the kid I met in middle school that I got for his first restaurant job at a place called My Big Fat Greek Restaurant. It was a knockoff of the movie. They opened up they grew pretty fast out here, and they're not around anymore, but that's where we first met, was in middle school. And then we got him a job working, we were waiting tables, and he went through all that education, and I tricked him into coming back and open up a food truck with me and another buddy that we bought out a couple of years ago. So that's how it all kind of started, and we just grew from there.
That's really cool. And so, I mean, naturally, if you are, working in from a Yelp and Living Social, the natural next step is to launch a food truck. So talk to us about how that idea came to
Well,
fruition.
of course, I mean, we always wanted to go back I wanted to be back into the food business because I was before. And Tommy was obviously still in it, very much so. Where it kind of came to tuition was I wanted to start this food truck with him. And when I was at Living Social, they had this clause that you weren't allowed to start a business when you were there, or they could technically own part of it or something. So I was number 8 out of 2,000 sales rep in the world at the company. They had 4,000 employees, and I put in my 2 weeks and I left and started selling scrap metal recycling, of all things, with a guy that I knew. And within 8 months, I had to quit that because we were buying our second truck because we really found success with the food truck business.
So, you've been, and we're going to go through all the different things you guys are working on because it's a lot, but it's really cool. And I think other entrepreneurs need to hear it. But when you zoom all the way back, when was that moment in your life where you first realized you were an entrepreneur?
That's a good question. I mean, I always was, it's funny, we own AZ Lemonade Stand. I remember running a lemonade stand outside and trying to collect money. Tommy has that mentality too. He used to make these duct tape wallets and sell them at school. He'd sell candy at school. And we always kind of had that mindset. But when I was 18 years old, I left my I was 19, I think. I left my last restaurant job I had before I got into this business again. And I started Print Distribution AZ. Basically, what that was a door-to-door flyer business where I hired high school kids that were younger than me, that were freshmen, and I was already out of high school. I would call businesses and say, "Hey, you won 2,500 free flyers," and I would charge them what 2,500 flyers were for 5,000, and it just covered my costs. And I charged them 10 cents a door. And these kids would go door to door, flyer them up. This is back when you could pay people $7.25 an hour or something. I paid them 10, and they were stoked. And I would ask them for a polo, and I would go into the businesses and I would pitch their catering, and they loved that. And I could get rid of a lot of flyers there because we have 50 employees. Like, oh, here's coupons. Now the office is going there, so we touch dinner and lunch, and that's where I kind of got my first. I sold concert tickets in high school for a local rap group. I always kind of had that hustle mentality, but the Print Distribution AZ, I think, was my first legal. Not that I was selling anything illegal, but my first.
No, I know what you mean.
Paid taxes on it.
Well, yeah, I get you. I think that's really cool because, like you said, I think a lot of entrepreneurs start young and don't realize, they just think it's normal, right? Doing a lemonade stand, doing something like that. But we all have that story of the first one that we did that was like an actual organized business, not just a side hustle or something. And so you guys got started with the food truck. Food trucks don't necessarily have the highest success rate. Really, restaurants in general don't have a super high success rate. You even started by saying, the restaurant that Chef Tom worked at, they grew up, they blew, and now they don't exist anymore. So what was your approach to food trucks that made it overcome those odds?
Absolutely. First of all, having the CIA grad, Culinary Super America, high-end chef, French classically trained doing gourmet burgers is a bit of it gives you a leg up. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I treated it like anything I ever did in sales. When I worked Yelp, Living Social, these different places, Living Social, a lot of times what we would do is we would end up just doing whatever Groupon did 90 days later. So I would just go look at what Groupon was doing, and then 45 days later I'm reaching out, and then the ads are running 45 days after that. So for us, I always took that mentality. Let's take the money. A lot of these food trucks, they'll go to festivals and you're buying $5,000 worth of food and you're hiring all this staff, you're paying a fee to be there, and then it rains or they hire too many trucks. I rather go do a bar mitzvah and know there's 50 people there and we're getting prepaid and there's gratuity and everything. So we went right towards the prepaid catering route. And that was probably the smartest thing we did in the business on the food truck side.
Yeah, that's massive. Going into the catering and the prepaid, keeping the risk really low, you're able to focus on one sale at a time instead of, having to do 50, 100, 1,000 right at a time. That's really smart. And so you got some really quick early momentum. When was the moment where you really realized, hey, this is going to work? We need to figure out how to
Yeah.
get this.
Well, on the food truck side, what we realized was Tommy could cook anything. So we were Aioli Burger, and they go, well, we also want tacos, and we had 2 trucks, and we go, oh, we can do tacos, and they go, no, you're a burger truck, and I'm like, I assure you, we can do tacos. Didn't work. So we create modern tortilla. So we create Oakwood fire pizza because you can't make pizza on a food truck without a wood fire, without an oven. That's where we kind of saw, we just kind of did it. And then we saw we were successful with it. And then once we opened our first brick and mortar that's still open today, 8 years later, we really realized, hey, we have something here, winning best of, Phoenix, best burger, Tommy winning food competitions. I knew I had the culinary edge with this guy. I just needed to go sell it. It was no different than me to sell advertising than we do 150 weddings a year now. So it's like, if I'm talking to a bride or trying to buy scrap metal from somebody, it's no different. You just got to get the deal done and you got to be the best at doing it.
That's a really solid business partnership where you're like, I'm going to go sell. You're going to make amazing products, right? And you just each get to stay in your lane, focus on what you crush. What were some, has it always been roses and sunshine as a partnership, or what advice do you have to other people, considering going into a
Yeah, I
partnership?
mean, of course not. When we started this, we sat around a coffee table. We did an operating agreement that we haven't looked at probably in the 10 years that we've been in business. And you
But you actually had one, and so
so
many
many
don't.
don't.
So that's
And we tell
something.
people that all the time. And we always tell people, because with the BLT side, now that we work with so many other entrepreneurs, we tell them, hey, every 6 months, you should be sitting down and you should be looking at your list. And what are you doing that wasn't in the agreement or what you haven't? It's tough. I mean, this is a kid that I lived with in college. We fought like brothers before, and we've been professional enough
Yeah.
now that we don't fight as much like that, but we still can get it still can get the best of us. But for us, I think it wasn't always easy at the beginning because you just assumed, oh, well, he's culinary and he's on the food truck. So of course he's the maintenance guy. Like, no, you got to hire a maintenance guy, after you get 10, 12 of these food
Yeah.
trucks.
Yeah, and those assumptions are what'll kill you, right? The assumption that he'll do it, and it's the unspoken expectations that often kill those kind of relationships. So you mentioned BLT Kitchens, and you've talked about how you're supporting other brands. Explain to me what that is, and also how that came.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, BLT Kitchens is really an incubator. We started out as a shared kitchen, ghost kitchen, whatever you might want to call it. When we bought this building that I'm sitting in now, we were thinking, okay, we're going to scale our food truck business. We're going to open up, 30 restaurants, 30 more food trucks. We're going to scale this thing. This will just be the place we prep at. Our SBA loan inked March 15th, 2020. That date might sound familiar. That's when the entire world came to a screeching halt. Uh, and I think the day we got the congratulations, you have your building. We were supposed to cater the LPGA tournament, and they were one of the last ones to finally pull the plug. The NBA had already shut down.
Ooh,
MLB had already stopped doing spring training. I mean, as we all
yeah.
know, the world came to a screeching halt. So we started getting calls because we were on this approved Maricopa County commissary list. Hey, do you have extra space? This is 14,000 square feet we're sitting in. We were taking up about two. We're like, yes, we have space. And that's where this business really grew. I mean, through that ghost kitchen trend that really came in, I think it hasn't gone. It's really just evolved. But I have a Forbes article. I'm on the Forbes Business Council thing, and there's an article coming out about how that's just evolved. Really, is what it is. But
Yeah.
we just started getting more and more renters, and then by taking advantage of these different SBA programs and just utilizing any of this other money that the government was helping with, we were really strategic about it. I mean, I watched people go buy sports cars. We were investing into buying other buildings because we have 3 of these kitchens now, and we have about
Oh,
almost
cool.
400 tenants where we work with them on the day to day, not just being a landlord, but helping them with food buying programs or marketing services or different things like that as well.
Yeah. That's amazing. When I first started this radio show 14 years ago, it was right on the heels of the
Yeah.
recession, right? So, we were everything. So most stories during that time, they shared a common DNA where it was, well, the recession hit, well, the market crashed, and now for the past 2 or 3 years, everyone's like, well, we did this, and then 2020 happened. But the businesses that are thriving right now all saw it, they adjusted, they pivoted, they moved with it. Obviously, a lot of businesses just
Yeah.
closed or just didn't make it, but the entrepreneurial spirit, the ability to navigate in the face of challenges, I think is at the DNA of the successful businesses now. What is it? You've got a lot of different things, right? You have a lot of different brands. Which one that you're really excited about right
I
now?
mean, AZ Lemonade Stand is probably one of the biggest ones we're excited about. Another COVID story where we fell backwards into it. We opened up an Aioli Burger inside of a Fry's grocery store, which is Kroger out here, and that we thought
Yep.
we made it. We're like, oh, we're with Kroger now. We're gonna be the next sushi guys that are gonna be in every grocery store. We made it. We
Yeah.
made it. And funny enough, people don't typically want a gourmet burger when they're trying to shop, and but they said put something in the cold case. Tommy always made amazing lemonade. We always put it in a mason jar, and we just started putting lemonade in the cold case. It sold. We put a brand behind it with our awesome creative director and marketing team. And we now have AZ Lemonade Stand in over 1,000 locations. We're distributed by 10 different distributors. We're starting to go out of state a lot. We're really excited about what that's become, and we've had to evolve that. So that's probably top of the list, but BLT is always going to be something that's cool to me because I get to work with entrepreneurs every day that are really excited. And a lot of times they're at the beginning stages of the excitement.
Yeah. Yeah. So how cool that you guys have had success that you've been able to replicate while also learning how to overcome challenges. And now you get to, you know, have a place where you can teach that to others that are further behind, just getting started. What are some cool things coming through BLT Kitchen that you've seen?
Man, some of the people in here are just that's the other big thing. I think it inspires you when you come out and you see how far they've come along. There's a keto company here that is making these keto bites that if he can scale this thing, I think it's going to be a big deal. It's almost like eating a Reese's peanut butter cup, but they're actually healthy for you. It's crazy. One of our favorite success stories out of here is the Simple Chefs. They're a meal prep company, and a lot of people in a commercial real estate would never help their tenant go to a place where they don't pay rent to them anymore. So they got so big,
Sure.
and what we would have to start charging them for what space they're taking up now wouldn't make sense for their model. So we took over the food and beverage program for Turf Paradise, which is the horse track out here. We actually moved them out of our kitchen where we no longer charge them rent. They're running the food. We make a commission on the food with the track, and we run the beverage, and we just place them in this. And when I tell other shared kitchen people this, they're like, wait, you moved a anchor tenant out? I go, look, now I have the room for my sales team to sell more. They're able to go. And this is a success story that I can tell now that we're not selfish. We're here to actually help you guys grow.
Dude, that is a cool story. I don't know many people that would help like that. But again, I think that's what you have to do if you want, if you're actually an incubator and not just a landlord, right? And that's the difference of what you guys are doing. You guys have, you've got all these amazing brands. You're doing direct. I mean, these are all different, right? A food truck is different than a restaurant. A catering is different than doing, just a traditional food truck. Direct to consumer sales or selling, lemonade as a ready to drink is different as well. How are you guys like managing each of these different verticals?
Yeah, I mean, to be quite honest with you, we were running them all very much the same up until maybe 18 months ago, where we really started realizing we needed to start putting key people in that are experienced. I think we were trying to do it all on our own because we had bought out business partners over the years. And I think we didn't realize, well, you don't necessarily need to have a business partner, or we just might not have the right ones. We need to really make sure we're focusing more on getting the right people working with us, work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
I mean, we catch ourselves all the time, they call it the 80-20 rule. I call it the 90-10 rule, where we spend 90% of our time on things that make us probably 10% of our money, where we just need to be more successful in that. But over the way we really have to prioritize it is, it's amazing how meetings just make all the difference in the world. And I'm not talking hour long. We're talking 15-minute daily, bi-weekly, weekly, twice a week meetings where we're sitting down, we're digging in with the people, and we're making sure that whatever the agenda was last week or the day before it has been getting accomplished. So that's a big deal. It's funny to say that meetings, just, the little things,
Well, it's fascinating because some people think meetings solve things, but they have those hour-long meetings without an agenda. There's a lot different than having a quick meeting where there's a clear agenda, you're following up on specific thing, making commitments to next steps, and then you sync up at the next one. You guys have really cool branding. You mentioned you have a creative director. What have been some of the most important hires that you guys have made over the years?
Him in particular, absolutely. I mean, Tommy and I, Tommy's very creative in the kitchen. I'm an idea guy for sure. I'll throw stuff at Bran all the time, but he's definitely a key piece to this. We're still a family. We have 120 employees. We're still very much a family run business. Tommy's mother-in-law is our key admin. My mother-in-law was our bookkeeper, just up until recently when we and then the person we transitioned to is a referral by her. So,
Right.
Tommy's wife has been vital to this. My wife works for the company. Tommy's wife's
Very
been
cool.
helping us with sales and running sales on the food truck side for years. We're all in on this. So, one of the most recent ones, operations director, a couple of them, honestly. One's a guy I known for a very long time, and we wanted to hire 6 years ago, but we knew we couldn't bring him in until we had at least some sort of organization. And we
Right.
finally pulled the trigger on him a year ago. Another guy is Ryan, was vital to what we're doing now. And he's hey, I'm going to call you out on what I think you're doing wrong here. And because he owned successful, he was a franchisor or franchisee. And he's able to call us out on stuff, which it's not always fun at the beginning, but you're like, man, thank you for doing it. Now I thank him when he hits me
Yeah.
between the eyes here, but I need it. I mean, you're in the
Yeah.
clouds sometimes.
Yeah, and if you have a growth mindset, you got to be ready for those heavy criticisms, right? Because it's like you're hiring someone to tell you what you're missing. Can't get mad when they tell you, right?
Yeah.
But some people do.
Steve
Yeah.
Jobs, right? He said, hire smart people, not to tell them what to do, but for them to tell you what to do. I
Yeah.
couldn't agree with that more. I'm not a CFO. We're in the process of hiring a fractional CFO, and I play CFO where I'm moving stuff around. I'm like, I got no idea. My answer to everything is go sell more. And
Yeah.
that's what I typically do. And that works for a certain period of time. But when you're looking at cash flow, sometimes you're like, well, I sold this, but we don't get paid for 90 days. So maybe that did more harm than good on,
Right.
some of this stuff.
You mentioned franchise. Is that something that's in the future for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, to be quite honest with you, I always joke and say, man, if I never had to open a restaurant or a food truck again, I'd be happy. But I just mean that clearly on having to deal with the day to day.
Yeah.
We would love. We have a very franchisable brand with Aioli Burger. Some of the other concepts too. I think we could do a lot with that. Um, and we already are doing it with the BLT Kitchen side, where we're working with small business owners. If they were taking our brand and working with it, I mean, they're gonna get all in on us wanting to be involved, and them to be successful.
Yeah, it seems like a real natural next step for what you guys are creating with these brands is uh so that'll be interesting to see if you guys go that direction and if that takes off. You know, I like to ask a couple of dream questions. So if there was a dream location that you could get, let's say we'll call it AZ Lemonade Stand into, what dream location would that be?
I would probably say, to be honest with you, Walmart, just because of how big it is. I don't think
Yeah.
it's a premium lemonade. So, hey, if they want it, Walmart, go ahead, give us a call. I mean, if you get into these big box stores when it comes to a beverage brand, I mean, it's next level. I mean, now you're talking co-packers across the country, because we still make the lemonade actually in this
Mhm.
building that I'm sitting in. So, eventually we'll take that leap to co-packing. Man, I would say that would be the big, gorilla in the room where you get them. I mean, now any other grocery store will, well, you're already bringing it in here. Let's get it over here. Or gas stations, C-stores, things like that.
Yeah. Absolutely. I also like to play dream influencer or ambassadors, like a celebrity that you would just love to rock your brand.
Yeah, honestly, I think I'm always torn on this. I mean, I'm a diehard Bulls fan. My dad was from Chicago, so if Michael Jordan was still playing ball and drank my lemonade on the court, that would be awesome. And he's made some great business decisions, so I wouldn't mind him being involved in that. That would probably be a celebrity, but when you see people like these Gary V guys and these Cardone guys, I mean, they're forces. I mean, you have one of those guys on your board for any of these
Right.
businesses. I mean, you're going to go to the moon. I feel like with those type of people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's amazing what a couple of the right people, right, supporting and having your back can do. So you and Chef Tom are creating amazing things. We didn't even cover all of them, so we didn't cover Protein and Pokey or Bros Seafood. Kind of hit us with what we may have missed.
Yeah, I mean, those were food truck brands. We have a lot of food truck brands. Another big one that we have is We've acquired some food trucks over the years or small businesses. We acquired a meal prep company this year from somebody that we've known for a long time. His option was he sold his building. It was either shutter the business and pay out his employees or somebody take it over because it wasn't really a sellable business. And that's what really
Right.
taught us, man, if we're going to want to sell these down the road, we got to get these to be sellable. So we acquired a meal prep company that's feeding over 3,000 people a week, and we want to scale that. It's a lot of all things food. We're working on some great things with AZ Lemonade. We have AZ Zero coming out, which is a sugar-free version. And we're also probably spinning off the name right now is AZ Candy Stand. We're going to do candy versions of our lemonade, and we're just going to constantly want to evolve because the innovation piece is what's so fun now.
Yeah, that seems to be what you really, really enjoy. Kyle, this has been a ton of fun getting to know you and getting to know these brands. Um, I often say that business is just part of life, right? And so, uh, not a business question. What's one item on your personal bucket list that you're going to accomplish in the next 12 months?
I really want to. My wife and son are really my inspiration, and my family in general. I wanted to do it this year, and it didn't line up. But it'll be a little bit more than 12 months. I want to take my family to New York to the Thanksgiving Day parade. We're chickens. We're from Arizona, so you need to spring for the hotel that you can kind of see it, and maybe
Sure.
take the kid and the nephew out to see the balloons and stuff, or I should say, see the balloons out there, then bring them back into the hotel room where you can see it. But that's probably that's a goal of mine on a personal level that I really want to do.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds like a great one. I love that. Kyle, thanks so much for coming out. Where should people go if they want to learn more about what you're doing?
Absolutely. I mean, BLT Kitchens is kind of our hub. You can always go there. I'm on LinkedIn, Kyle Hollenbeck. I'm always looking to connect with like-minded people and grow. And this has been a real pleasure. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. To all my biz ninjas, wherever you're listening, watching, or tuning in, it's your turn to go out and do something.